Hey everybody, welcome to Module 4. So we're about halfway through the course. And I just want to take a few minutes and again thank everybody for all your hard work and diligence, especially getting those initial discussion board posts in by Thursday night. We've had some really good discussions over the last couple of weeks, so keep up the great work. Also, I appreciate everyone getting those assignments in on time by Sunday night. And this past week, of course, we had our first milestone assignment, and that's going to be really helpful and key for our final project. I will provide an overview of the final project probably another 2 weeks because I think it's important to go over what that assignment is. Many parts of the final project you've already done. So you're going to see some of the same things pop up. That's why we have the milestone. And so some of those same categories are going to pop up. What you need to do is polish it, add some references if you haven't already done so. Take a look at the grading rubric. Take a look at the assignment guidelines. So feel free to do that anytime you have a free moment, just so you have an idea as to what the expectations are. Due to the fact that the final project has several key pieces in it, I would recommend that you try and use the assignment guidelines or the grading rubric as a outline to help you prepare and make sure that you address each of the components, because there are several components that need to be included. And sadly, if you don't include one of those components, then it's difficult for me to grade that specific element on the final project. Okay, so take time to do that. So let's just talk a little bit about this week. This week is actually sort of a fun week. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of critical thinking needed on your part for this week. And basically, we're going to be looking at the courtroom personnel. And so one of the first assignments you have this week is this rock, paper, scissors courtroom version. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to select two court employees and evaluate their roles in terms of whether or not in a specific situation one might have more power or authority over the other. Now, it's not to say that this really happens. The purpose of this exercise is to really help you understand the different roles that exist within the court system and what each of those persons brings to the table in terms of the overall efficiency and effectiveness of the court operation. So it's really sort of a fun time. So you can pick two or randomly pick two, whatever you prefer. And basically you're going to consider the powers and duties of each of the two court participants named on the slips of paper chosen, or whatever ones you decide to choose, because I'll never know if you do it randomly or not. And then you're going to look at which of the two roles has power over the other, and the ability to stop or stymie or interfere with or delay the work of a person in the other role. And so our instructions have this little brief example. For example, if you pick a judge and a litigant is somebody, one of the parties to a lawsuit, or could be a defendant in terms of a criminal trial, you might decide that the judge wins because the judge can deny a litigant's request for a continuance, for example. On the same token, one could argue that a litigant might have power over the court or the judge because a litigant can raise a appeal based on a technical issue in which they believe the judge made an error. So there really is no right or wrong answer. I think the purpose is to really think about what the roles are for each of these people in the courtroom and what takes place. And that's, I think, the whole gist of this assignment for this discussion board. So have fun doing it. Pay attention to the requirements for the assignment based on the discussion board assignments. Remember that when I evaluate your discussion board post, I look at what is required for you in each of these assignments. So for example, in this week's assignment, in your initial post, you are to identify which two titles you selected, state who you decided was the winner, and explain why. So there's a couple things you need to put in your initial post. In terms of your comment post back to your classmates this week, in your response to your peers, it says, take the contrary view. That is, explain why the other participant should have won that round. For example, we go back to the one that is offered here in the assignment guidelines. If you picked a judge and a litigant, okay? So the first time you write that the judge wins because the judge can deny litigants extension or delay of the hearing date or something to that effect. Well, as a counterclaim, you could again argue that the litigant can appeal a judge's decision regarding any aspect of that case, okay? So pay attention to the assignment guidelines and what's required in your response to your peers. When I go in and look at your posts during the week, typically what I do, if you haven't figured out, is if I make a comment back to you or ask you a question, I'm trying to get you to address the other parts of the discussion thread that I think was missing in your initial post. And then I take all that into consideration when I review your discussion board, initial post, and your comment post. So I usually do that to your benefit. So take a look at those when you have time. I try to start doing that on a Friday, sometimes on a Saturday as well. But again, just try to understand that when you do your discussion boards, to please go ahead and make sure you evaluate all the criteria that's required for that particular assignment. Okay. So this week, our other assignment is a short paper, and the short paper this time is going to be on the court employee roles. And so there's a couple of information here that you can access to help you in terms of identifying some of these positions. And you can take a look under your reading resources. Not only is it our textbook, Chapter 8, but there's a couple extra resources here for you. Keep in mind that different jurisdictions have different names for some of these same positions, whether it's a court clerk or administrative assistant or whatever the particular title is. The titles may vary, but the basic function is pretty much the same. So some of you may be dealing with, a court clerk, and some of you that may be called something totally different in your jurisdiction, and that's fine. So the book offers, or the assignment guidelines offer you an array of positions you could take a look at. So let me open the guidelines for this assignment here. Let me call it up. I'm going to adjust the screen here just for a second. Hold on, there we go. Okay, so here we are. This is our assignment for Module 4. And basically, specifically the following critical element must be addressed. The role. Identify and describe what role your chosen staff member plays in the operations of the court and some of the tasks that the individual engages in to fulfill his or her job requirements. So if you select a judge, you can evaluate the role that the judge plays in the court process. What do they do in terms of their job requirements? And we learned a little about the judges in our previous short paper about the courts and what their duties and responsibilities are when you look at the job description, okay? But you can look at an array of positions within the court system. So, for example, you can look at a court clerk, an assistant clerk, a docketing clerk, administrative assistant, bailiff, lawyer, or judge. And you can identify either that as a state or federal court staff member. So take a look, do some research. Maybe it's a position you might be interested in, or a position that you've always wanted to maybe learn more about. And so this is an opportunity for you to do that. So first of all, you're going to look at the role. Okay, then the efficiency. Describe the role of the court staff person in creating judicial efficiency. Explain how this person's position can help make courts run more or less efficiently. Specifically discuss his or her role in relation to court calendars, dockets, and case management. Okay, so a court docket obviously is the file if you ever get arrested, you get a docket number, and that number sort of follows you throughout your time in the court process. So every time you have a court appearance, there's that court docket file that they have. Court calendars, you can take a look at any court website that has a calendar. Basically, it's what they're doing that day. What are the courts doing that day? So each court will have a calendar. So for example, if I'm a judge, my court calendar may show that I'm in trial this week, or I have preliminary hearings, or I have bail hearings, or whatever the case is. So those are the calendars, all right? Calendars are associated, again, with each court, so we have an idea what each court is doing. Dockets are the cases, the specific cases. And then case management. Case management is the efficiency at which a court system is able to process and deal with the number of cases and volumes of particular cases that come through. That's all about case management. We'll learn more about these in the weeks to come, but these are discussed in our textbook in Chapter 8, and then we have those additional resources. So take a look at those this week so you have an understanding as to how your particular job that you're going to evaluate and its roles affects the efficiency of the court process. All right, so let's take a look at the rubric. Again, the role, you're going to describe the role that the staff member plays in the operation of the court. What do they do, including some of the tasks that the staff member engages in to fulfill the job requirements. So you're going to have to do some additional research, okay? And in order to get an exemplary rating, you're going to have to do the proficient aspect, but you're also going to have to provide specific and relevant examples based on research. Specific and relevant examples based on research. So this particular assignment right here, it highlights the fact that you need to have 3 sources cited in APA format. 3 sources are required for this assignment, as in our other short papers. All right, so make sure you provide 3 sources, and those 3 sources should be the source or the key to your specific and relevant examples based on your research. So you can describe a particular position, such as a court clerk, and as you're describing what role they play in the operation of the courts, including some of the tasks, you can say, for example, in my home state, the court clerk's additional duties and responsibilities are ABC 1, 2, 3, parentheses, and then maybe your source, or again, some specific examples that you can tie back to some element to show me that you've done some outside research, all right? If you just generally say this is what they do, then without any further examples or indication of any relevant research, then you would just get a proficient rating. So again, do that additional research, because that'll help you in our final project, because in our final project, you'll be discussing this exact topic right here, okay, in terms of courtroom work group and roles within that group. So that's going to come up later. All right, so that's one of the things you have to talk about is the role. Next, the efficiency. Efficiency explains how the staff member's position can help make courts run more or less efficiently. So you're going to have to understand what their job is, and how do you think that that job makes the court more efficient and effective, or perhaps even less efficient. Specifically referencing the staff member's role relative to court calendars, dockets, and case management. So what does this person do? Is this person somehow involved in court calendars, in processing cases, or in case management? Because some people are involved in case management in terms of trying to make the court run in a more efficient and effective manner, maybe through some level of technology, whatever the case may be. So as you begin to evaluate your role, now you're going to look at how that role affects the efficiency and effectiveness of the court system. And again, include specific and relevant examples based on research for the exemplary rating. So again, you can go back to your sources. Maybe your sources can fill in here, and then that shows me that you've done some level of outside research that's going to demonstrate to me how good of a job you've done. Okay? And then the articulation of the response. Again, 3 sources are required. 3 sources are required for this assignment. If you don't have 3 sources, then you're going to find that your grade is going to drop a little bit in this category. Okay? So that's what we're doing this week. Enjoy this week. You probably worked very hard last week on your milestone assignment, and I'll be taking a look at those this week, and I appreciate everyone's hard work and diligence. Again, if you ever have any questions or concern, you can call, text, or email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right? Have a great week, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.